This is a fun one. I think it will give it the seriousness it deserves.
I have so many opinions.
We'll get into it. Kay wanted to join, but she sounds like the Marlboro cowboy. So,
good then, right?
Is she working on a new character, or is she sick?
Yeah, and when I she told me that I have to relay her takes, but I didn't tell her I'm going to do it in the voice that she sounds like today. When I do, so we'll get there.
Leave her be. She needs that Thanksgiving break just to drink like honey.
Yeah, pretty much. As you know, I don't know how to start the podcast, so it'd either be that or something along the lines of "Welcome to Late to the Movies." My name is Ben Holt. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week, we'll pick a film that either I or a guest hadn't seen before, and really should have, I don't know, done the end of Sleepless in Seattle and then gone to Olympus before. That is why we're doing Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Percy Jackson
and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, right?
Yep.
Got it. Yeah. Your guest, left or right across your podcast dial. Everyone's actually in an even row right now. So I'll just ignore the robots. And Bree's here.
Hello.
Vaz is here.
Ben, you're not going to believe this, but I'm a lightning thief.
And Sam's here.
I'm already in hell.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot to say about this one. But before we do, everyone doing great?
I should have said a real horse ass.
Cool. Very good vibes. November's off to a rollicking start.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sword and Sandals month, I guess.
You chose it. You acted like the viewers like voted it in, like you were.
No, I'm fine with the theme.
Demanded it.
I'm excited about the theme. There's just some things I do in my life that then other things happen. I'm like, this is what I'm doing with my time. It's Sword and Sandals month. I couldn't be more excited. A whole month of sword and or sandals. This one has swords, few sandals, but still counts. Or it's going to be some classics, some new takes on the type of subgenre I'm talking about. We're going to have some claymation. You know we're going to get into Ray Harryhausen this month. Oh, just you wait. But before that, today we're just doing Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief. My brain's gone this week. I'm sorry, y'all. Have any of you seen anything good recently? Or have you been avoiding media?
In some ways, I've been trying to dip into media more than ever to try to block out. But I'm down a real big video essay hole. I've been just got to the point in my life that I'm like, I really like video essays. I'm just gonna look up, like if I like video essayists this one, what other ones would I like? And it's been just going through that. I watched Folding Ideas' video on the Angry Video Game Nerd and why he's so bad at what he does, despite being it's basically he was like the same age that game got kind of popular, but not as popular at the same time. And it was like, why did you do this? Like, why weren't you better? And it slowly devolves from there in a good way. And the only other thing I watched was Super Eye Patch Wolf's breakdown of The Simpsons and how it got bad and why it got bad to less of a degree. It didn't like, I've seen other things of The Simpsons that really go into like jerk ass Homer and like why it got super shitty in like the early to mid 2000s, but this was more of just like, this is why it was good before and like look what happened to it. Isn't that sad? All right, bye. And yeah, other than that, it's just been a lot of Bridgerton, which has been fun. Cool. And I could throw that to Bree if Bree wants to talk about Bridgerton. I don't know if Bree wants to talk about Bridgerton.
It's really good. Yeah, we finished the first season recently, and we started the second season, just like the first episode.
It's one of your dude's on that, right? Your favorite dude.
My favorite dude. My favorite cat boy.
Yeah.
And my favorite Fiero.
Excellent.
Idris Elba's on that show?
I talked over your bits.
Oh, Idris Elba was on that show? A cat boy?
What?
That's a cat
McCavity cat.
Oh wait, no, Hedgehog. No, a kid, no. He plays Knuckles.
Oh god, yeah, he's all kinds of animals these
Yeah.
days.
Oh, he does play a cat in Cats. I forgot
Yeah,
about
he's
that.
the
Yeah.
bad guy cat. He's the one that snaps. I don't know.
Mr.
Yeah.
Misopheles? Is that the bad guy cat?
No,
It's
come on.
McCavity. It's McCavity.
McCavity.
McCavity cat, of course.
Yeah, Taylor Swift descends from the cat heavens to tell everybody about how bad Idris Elba is, and then she's good. I don't know.
She doesn't know how bad he's gonna be. You
Yeah,
know? It's one of those situations.
I was still being shook by how good Skimbleshanks was in that movie.
The
Oh, so
railway
good.
cat?
He
The
loves the
cat
railway cat.
of the railway train.
Oh yeah, that guy dances. He it you can tell when a production really wants to put the effort in to, commit to these things being cats when the only one they'll ever show the legs of wears full-length pants so they don't have to animate them. That guy shouldn't make movies anymore.
So you're not going to see The Little Mermaid?
We have to cut all this because we're doing cats 4 times in February.
I laugh, but you're probably serious.
I am. It's Cats Hog Month.
I like it.
So anyway,
Yeah, Bridgerton's real good.
and Bree, you like that guy on it?
Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah.
He shows his butt a lot, and every time he shows his butt, I go boo. It's real funny. You know how that works.
It's great.
He's a good-looking guy.
This one's just a me one because I've been watching it in the mornings while I work out. But I finally started The Boys, and that's a ride. That's a lot to take in at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's great. Like it's exactly what I wanted out of like a gritty superhero show. Holy shit, there's no breaks on that show. It just keeps going and it's all good.
That's I'm not fully caught up, but I watched the first handful of seasons. So agreed.
Yeah, I still have, I think I have 1 or 2 more episodes of the first season. Like I'm still pretty early on it. But whoa, what a show.
Voss,
Yes. Oh, yes.
there's something you've seen since the last time you were on that I want to ask you about.
Yeah, hit me with it. I mean, I've seen plenty of stuff.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I will say I saw Nora, new
That's
Sean
what I-
Baker movie.
That's
Oh,
what
that
I was
was
going to
it?
ask you about. Yep.
All right, good. That worked out. Great. I loved it. Absolutely one of my favorite movies of this year. Halfway through that movie, it turned into a slapstick comedy. And before that, it's funny. It's really good. But when it turns into a slapstick comedy, that's just when it won me over. It just a lot of good stuff. I highly recommend.
I extremely want to watch it. It was playing at Providence Place this week, which I don't really like going to the mall, but it's playing in the Warwick Showcase that I like more this weekend. So I'm going to try and check
Oh,
that
nice. Yeah, it's starting to get.
And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said it's starting to get more of a wider release too. People seem to be gravitating towards it, so it's doing well in the box office.
So, since the last time we recorded, I've stayed in Sam Neill adjacent territory. I rewatched Jurassic Park most recently, but before that, I watched The Empty Man for the first time, the 2020 film that Disney, after acquiring it in the Fox merger, sort of dumped in high pandemic times because they didn't want anyone to see it. But it's really good. Check it out. It's now easily findable on streaming. I guess Hulu, Disney. Empty Man. It changes like every 20 minutes to a different genre. Really good, real good scares. The trailer makes it look like it's a Slender Man riff, and that makes it look uninteresting. But it's not that. There's a lot more going on.
Interesting. I'll have to catch that one.
At least equally interesting and enjoyed by me was a few weeks ago, back in the beginning of Sam Neill, I mentioned watching original Suspiria for the first time and vowed to watch the Luca Guadagnino remake from 2018 with Dakota Johnson. And I did. And it's really good. It's extremely different, but I now love both those movies. So there you go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No, I talk first, Voz. Tough shit.
Oh.
Go
I actually also just recently watched Suspiria 2018.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I was a little more lukewarm on it. I loved how it looked, but I don't know. It just never really drew me in. I liked a lot of the performances, especially Tilda Swinton, which is no surprise. But I don't know. It's just never like there was no moment in there where I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, we're gonna get more into it in January, which will be Big Tilda Swinter.
You gotta be fucking kidding. God damn it.
I'm like not kidding. I don't think.
I call burn after reading.
We've talked for so long without talking about Percy Jackson. Are we ready?
And his
Percy,
lightning
what?
thief.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
There we go.
The Lightning Thief. I had not seen this film before, though I'm aware of it, and my sister teaches it in class, the book at least, and then they watch the movie at the end, and I know at least pieces of the story because she often remarks on how weird and different the movie's plot line is compared to the book. But I hadn't seen this movie before.
Bree's so sad that Kay's not on this episode.
I have a lot of opinions, so
A lot of book opinions.
Good.
yeah, I was a Percy Jackson kid when I was little. Not Harry Potter, not anything else. Well, I had a Twilight phase, but Percy Jackson was
did.
like my favorite book series.
Yeah.
Who among us?
Kay really, really likes the Percy Jackson books, and I will say up front that anytime I'm making fun of the plot in this, I am well aware that it is better handled and more interesting in the book version.
I might still bring up like some nuanced things that it's like, oh, I really wish they would have done this in the movie, because it would have literally, this like one little change would have made the scene so much better. But overall, I'll try to keep the comparisons to a minimum.
No, that wasn't me saying not to bring it up. Feel free to bring it up as much as you want. That was more just saying if I'm making fun of the plot, it's specific to the movie, and I'm sure the book is
totally
better.
Get it. I totally get it. This movie's a wreck.
Yeah.
A fun wreck, but a wreck.
I had a great time. Sam, had you seen it before?
I had not. I had kind of heard about it. Bree's really wanted me to watch it for a bit now, so that was also nice because kind of a, I don't want to say like a two birds one stone thing because I do want to watch it, but it was kind of like I would love to talk about this movie that Bree wants to talk about, so I was excited to watch it, and I have opinions. I don't know.
He's just a big wife guy.
How dare you accuse me of being a wife guy in front of Alexandra Daddario like that?
And I did watch this movie last year. It's part of my just on my list of movies from Disney Plus that I wanted to get out of the way. And now I watched it again.
Boss, this isn't an intervention, but you do know you don't have to watch every movie ever
He
created.
had to get it out of the way.
I had to get it out of the way. I do like watching like failed franchise attempts, though I know this one did have like a sequel.
Yes.
Oh, we don't talk about the sequel.
I actually thought there were
Sea
like
of
4 of
Monsters?
these. I was completely because I was like, yeah, it didn't really work.
The confusion comes from the second movie smushed like 4 books together.
Yeah.
They did a series of unfortunate events movie tried to
Essentially, yeah. Like oh my god, the second movie is so bad. I barely acknowledge it. Like this one I'll at least acknowledge. I don't acknowledge the sequel.
Yeah.
You could also be
That's
thinking
fair.
of the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Maybe. I thought for some reason, because this came out in 2010 and I was already 20 and it wasn't being marketed to me. I wasn't like, and I hadn't read the book, so I like just kind of didn't see it. And for some reason, my brain was like, "Oh, they're making another one of these." And I was like, "There's gonna be like 4 of these." I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense, but I did think that.
Yeah.
I did think
place-
there was a bunch of them.
A place we maybe want to get to eventually, assuming Bree, you've watched the TV series. Kay says it's a lot better.
I have not yet. It's on my list
Okay.
to watch. I've heard it's so much better, and from the beginning I always wanted it to be a TV show because it's going to be portrayed much easier in a TV show. There's just too much detail and stuff that's really needed. That just wouldn't translate good into a movie, even if they make the best movie ever. But yeah, that's how you get fucking expo dumps like they do in this movie that are terrible.
Yeah, Speaking of which, who feels strongly about a 1-minute plot summary?
I can do it. I feel like I'm kind of the default plot summary for this group.
Okay.
All right, start the clock. All right, cut to Sean Bean on top of a Empire State Building, and some other dude who's not Sean Bean, and he's like, "Oh man, someone stole my lightning bolt," and he goes, "Zeus, you know that's," and he goes, "Shut up, we're doing a movie now," and then they go to a movie, and they're in a museum, and Pierce Brosnan's there, and there's a substitute teacher who's someone like you don't know, and then you're like, oh, she's probably a giant harpy, and that turns out to be true, most predictable thing that's ever happened in cinema, and she tries to kill the Percy Jackson, who's the guy, and he's Stein's kid, and then his best friend's a satyr, played by the guy from Tropic Thunder that plays Al Pacino, and then a bunch of other stuff happens, and he's not the lightning thief. That's the movie.
So
You're
Bree,
welcome.
Yeah, Bree, you said you weren't a Harry Potter guy. You were a Percy Jackson guy or gal. But
So I read all the Harry Potters and I like watched all the movies, but like my personality was Percy Jackson.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I was gonna say your personality was Percy Jackson. My diagnosis is Percy Jackson, apparently.
I was gonna do.
Let's retry it.
I was gonna do exactly what I did for what was the Bad Boys, Bad Boys for Life, where I just acted like it was a Joey Pants movie the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, Joey Pants is the worst stepfather.
He's cruelly thrown to the ground by a guy who later refers to as a cripple. His words. On TV.
He's just trying to play poker with the boy.
Yeah. And you know what? He got home from a hard day of work, and all he wanted was a beer that his wife would give him, like his girlfriend.
Yeah, his wife's off, and his jerk ass son's being the worst, and his wife's probably in John Malkovich's head all day. It's terrible. Yeah. What a horrible time for Joey Pants.
And he's like the poor guy, Joey Pants. He's hearing about like, oh, my son had dyslexia and he can't read apparently. Fuck him. The kid.
Yeah, exactly. He's making his life harder. Joey Pants also relates to the bit I was going to do.
Okay, go for it.
Shocking, I know. So yeah, Harry Potter makes me think about, especially in like this week, I'm thinking a lot about how it's sometimes reductive, not always employed well, but it's a thing that David Lynch comes back to. It's a thing that J.K. Rowling comes back to in Harry Potter, is this idea of love being like this all-conquering force that evil can't necessarily tear down. And that's why his mom's love is why Harry's protected and Voldemort can't touch him, and he's in hiding for so long as he's growing up. And then, like, tonally shift, this movie, Horse Pierce Brosnan is like, Joey Pants stinks like shit so hard that you were removed from God's sight.
That's not even inaccurate. Like, that is also the reason in the book too. It's like he's just the most gross human smelling man that it just masks you and it keeps you hidden from. Oh my god, yeah, no, that was always a really funny plot point.
He just smells so bad that Zeus can't find you. And I know they've aged them up from the book, so it's funny that this guy's like, he's been trying for 20 years. And Joey Pants just like smells like real shit. I don't know what to tell you. Surely you've noticed.
Taking a shower in his goddamn life.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it's not exactly Dumbledore's plot, but it's maybe more humane.
It's kind of it's giving Twilight in Seattle because it's always overcast vibes, but like somehow works.
And also the implications for what Catherine Keener has to go through for this, like.
I said at the beginning of the movie, I was like, how dare this movie make Catherine Keener like a weak woman, you know, like, and like Bree just keeps being like, hold on. give it some time. I'm like, okay. And then we find out she's really strong because she had to deal with that smelly guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. Catherine Keener. How many of you knew Catherine Keener is in Joker Folie à Deux?
I just found that out now, and I'm sad about it.
I found out when I watched the movie.
Ruh-roh.
Yep.
Anything I know about that movie was against my will, so I didn't know that, and now I do.
Yeah, there you go. Here's a more fun fact. The lifetime gross of Joker Folie à Deux is going to be substantially less than the opening weekend of Joker.
That's true.
That's
It hasn't happened that often.
Lord.
It opened extremely badly and then had, I think, the first drop in its second weekend since Geely.
I think it was like 40 million in its first weekend or around that. And then second weekend was like 6. Like it's a hard drop.
Yeah, and the issue here for me is that it's not my fault the first one made $1 billion.
yeah.
Yeah, no, the first
Yeah.
one didn't even deserve what it got. Like, why?
It won Oscars.
It was so bad.
What are we doing? Anyway, Catherine Keener's in that film
Yep.
and in this film.
I do want to say Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, has made more money than Joker Folie à Deux so far.
There we go.
Only by $22 million.
Right. Yeah, this one's got some people in it, and that's maybe a place we can jump in. So the younger folks in it, although I think Brandon Jackson feels older than the other ones because of Tropic Thunder.
Somehow, like I saw that, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he did Tropic Thunder after this, and I was like, no, he did Tropic Thunder 3 years before this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's fully like 8 years older than Logan Lerman.
Yeah. And Alexandra
He's only a couple
Daddario-
years older than Alexandra Daddario.
Only
Sorry.
2, yeah.
Can't see her without thinking of Winston referring to her witch eyes in New Girl.
For
In the
me,
one
with
episode
Alexandra
of the-
Daddario, I just couldn't believe that she kept melting every time she saw Logan Lerman. I was just like,
I mean,
like
fair.
Logan, no, not fair.
No,
Logan Lerman
no.
walked
Not
on
comparable.
stage, 150 pounds, soaking wet, with his emo boy haircut and no
He's
abs.
always soaking wet.
I cannot tell you how big into Logan Lerman I was when I was 15. This movie was made for me, and then it was bad.
And now you're really into Alexandra Daddario, so everything goes around.
That's fair, man. That's the gay life
Yeah.
cycle right there. This is
Yeah.
by Panic the movie.
It is weird because he looks like kind of a teenager in the movie. In fact,
Yeah.
he is. And Alexandra Daddario is fully like in her mid-20s.
Yeah, like every time they cut to Daddario's reaction, I was expecting her to like roll her eyes and like be like ugh, and instead she like basically bit her lip and went fuck.
It's like, I don't know. Not to the extent Rosario Dawson playing a character that my understanding is does not exist in books.
No, that's kind of funny.
That I straight up don't remember. I don't remember if she was.
I'm here to steal a lightning bolt and fuck satyrs.
I'm pretty
And
sure
I
that
just
scene.
got a lightning bolt.
God, I'm pretty sure that scene didn't exist in the books, but I don't remember. I don't remember anything about Persephone in the books, honestly.
According to Cage, that is not a character in the books.
Damn.
The Steve Coogan aging rocker thing, that is not Hades' vibe in the books.
Yes, that I do remember. I do like his vibe in the movie as it like on its as its own thing, but it was not Hades in the book.
And then I mean, the point, they aged up the characters. The characters are supposed to be like 12, right? So
Literal children, yeah.
yeah, Rosario Dawson aggressively trying to fuck him would have been weird.
I don't know if
Hey, Greek
if
gods.
he's supposed to be a child. Like as a satyr, I think he's supposed to be older.
Okay.
Like he's
It's
still a
cool,
junior
though.
protector, but no, I'm not saying it's cool. I'm just saying I don't think he's a child.
All right.
Is he trying to? Does he have his horns in the book?
He does gain them later. Like that is a thing that satyr protectors go through.
Not that it's a long scene, but this, I guess, worth mentioning. This is our first Uma Thurman film.
So
Amazing.
sorry. I
Good
mean,
to
she
start
kills
either.
it. Oh, she kills it in a kids movie way.
Yeah.
She is
She
iconic
cooks.
in this movie.
Yeah.
Like that
Like-
scene is so good.
Is it her best acting? I'm not saying it's a bad acting performance, but like, is it the best you've ever seen Uma Thurman acting?
Yes.
No,
Oh,
but it's like, yeah, she did not just collect a paycheck and leave. We'll put it that way.
No, also, I mean, Bree, you can speak to this better than me, but I talked to Kay last night, and she said that's not how that character operates in the book.
No, they turned him like they made him way more comedic, and way more what's a good way to put it? A lot of quips. Those quips weren't like that in the yeah, he's way more of comic relief in the movie than I remember him being in the books.
Well, you don't hire Al Pacino himself
Yeah.
to just sit there and be quiet.
And at least equally as far from the book version, Medusa, Kay said, was also is very much not like that. And I like that Uma Thurman played her as specifically Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard. I thought that was a fun choice. And yeah, it's not quite, because it's not her Poison Ivy. It's different. And I like that she has different levels to when she does this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like with her, I'm a really big fan of like the slow burn reveal, like of all the, I guess it's not her that's doing this, but like the slow burn reveal of all the statues, and like, yeah, I think you're trying to tip to at least the audience like what's happening before they figure it out. And I actually think it's ham-fisted, but I do really like the damn, this looks just like my Uncle Frederick, only my Uncle Frederick was killed by, but oh no, you know, like was a good bit.
I feel like they shouldn't have. He shouldn't have said Medusa. Like,
Yeah.
I know you kind of might have to spell it out for people, but like, come on.
We were about to
didn't
find
need
out,
to
like,
straight up
2
say,
minutes.
yeah. Like, you don't need to straight up say Medusa.
Also, can we talk about what a fucking liability that woman was? So she grabs Alexandra Daddario by the hand, goes, she's here, not saying who, just keeps yelling, she's here. She turned my husband to stone or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
like, why is this woman asking a child for
Yeah,
help?
and
Also,
then she
In her
runs
defense,
right at her.
Daddario is a full adult.
Yeah. And Alexandra
Theoretically
Daddario,
16.
Right.
she should have known. She's supposed to be the smart one in the group. She knows
Yeah, like,
Medusa.
her mother is the one that cursed Medusa.
See? And then the woman just run into the street. Why did you run into the fucking garden?
I guess it was sort of, so that's okay. So when we talk about like better explained in the book, right? It's a whole different vibe, whatever. And it's more like they sort of imply it in the movie lightly that folks are somewhat compelled to look at Medusa, but they don't really say. It seems like the lady's just like, I mean, maybe it's fun. I'll check it out. And then she just dies.
Oh, maybe she's lying.
Yeah, not well portrayed.
I'd love to see Bird Box done that way. They're like, well, the first 25 people killed themselves violently, but maybe it'll be cool for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I really want to see it.
It just seems like she really wants to see it. And then Medusa just beating up in people's faces like, you gotta open your eyes eventually. It's like, you don't have another move?
Her technique was, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Yeah, you're gonna fuck up eventually. It's really difficult to keep your eyes closed while I wait here to be defeated.
Can we talk about how iconic using the iPod touches to fight her? Like, that is one of my favorite parts of this movie. Like, it is so camp. It is so fun. Like, it's so 2010. There's so much about this movie that's 2010, and that's one of them, and it's one of my favorite parts.
It felt really like tactilely, triggering of a memory to see it in the reflection in that entire sort of chrome reflective back side of an iPod Touch. Brought me back.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
this is a
product
very
placement.
product. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's a pretty product placement movie. But I mean, the Maserati was a bit much, I think. If like were there a bunch of kids' dads that were like, "Oh man, I do. I want those 3 kids got in one of the casino."
Oh, we'll get to the casino.
Yeah.
That's my other favorite part.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of product placement. But I thought the iPod Touch was really good product placement. If you can do a bit like that both enhances the story and gets a product in there.
Yeah, no, I thought that was so fun. That's very, very genius way to modernize that scene and make it camp.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this movie meant to be camp at all. But it definitely accomplished that with one Uma Thurman as Medusa, and then also having her get defeated by using her reflection in iPod Touch. Just so fun.
It's solid.
And they did establish that he had an iPod Touch at the museum.
Oh yeah, he got to
Yep.
show
Chekhov's
them
iPod.
No, I
Yep.
was gonna say show the
Yep.
tell.
Like Chekhov said, if you show an iPod Touch in Act 1, it's got to go off by the end of Act 1. So
I was
I
wondering.
muted because I took a drink, but that was really funny.
It is a good point though that I hadn't thought about when he had the iPhones on. I was like, what a jerk,
Yeah.
Percy Jackson. That actually does make a little more sense.
And he's like in the front of the crowd there too, in front of the teacher.
Yeah, the teacher's
brazen.
you're not even sitting here like, oh, this teacher's an asshole and this guy's a bad boy, like, or whatever. It's just like there's no reason for him to be listening to those. But yeah, I guess it was that.
yeah.
We need to prove.
It's the ADHD.
Also, Percy Jackson's hard coded to only speak or only read Roman or Greek,
Ancient Greek, yeah.
ancient Greek. What a terrible power. Could he just not read?
I think he can read like the same way like dyslexia works. I just believe it's harder because it's like if you speak another language that's not like if you're speaking English and you're trying to read like kanji or something, it's like you're not going to be able to read it. That's not a great comparison, but like if you're starting to learn it, you might not get it right away, I guess. Like he can't read. They're not illiterate.
All right. It's just a bad layover from being the son of Poseidon.
I do really, really like the ADHD dyslexia thing with the demigods though. Like I love that dyslexia is because they are hardwired to read ancient Greek, and then the ADHD is battle reflexes and battle instincts. Like I think that's very very well written.
That is how it works.
Yeah, if you have both, you're a demigod.
Mm-hmm. Does the sequel introduce someone who also has generalized anxiety, or?
I think the Cyclops might.
Oh, great. So that's the first. Medusa they defeat off of her cuff. They get a pearl. The pearls they're looking for. That's their fetch quest. Their MacGuffins are pearls, except they actually do something because they'll get them out of hell. And they're like, "There's 3 of us. We're rescuing 1 person, so we need 3 of these things. We're not going to question that." And that's the first one. I think that's the first moment that I realized people were dying in this children's film when to get Alexandra Daddario out of the weird lady's grasp. I think Percy just cuts her arm off.
It's the
Grover does?
Grover does, yeah.
And I was like, oh, I felt like in most kids' movies that lady would have come back at the end, but I guess not.
Nope. That
No,
lady's
no.
dead.
They're just fully dead.
And they're kind of nonplussed about it.
Yeah. It doesn't bother them.
Though it seems like Alexandra Daddario may have killed a few people at the Half-Blood camp.
Yeah. And then that brought me back to like, oh, it seems like they were like, oh, we were really good. No one actually dies here. And it's like, oh, no, you just don't really care when people die, I think. Yeah. Cool.
You're just a bad person.
I do think they have seen death. Like, if anything, I think Percy would have been more disturbed about it. I don't know if he actually saw that, though. I don't think he saw that she turned to stone or anything, because I don't think they talk about it.
I think in the
with him?
movie, he never meets her.
Yeah, I don't think he encounters the statue at all or anything. I think he only learns about that when like in the pool scene when Annabeth is like, oh, her grip like on my wrist, and that's why I have that injury or whatever. But Annabeth and Grover would probably be used to seeing shit like that.
Fair enough. And then they go and do a thing that is, to my understanding, not in the book at all. They go to Nashville and fight a Hydra.
And almost get in a car accident because country music puts Grover to sleep.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. The cynical take from my sister is that they're supposed to, in that part, be in St. Louis, and there's a fight with the Gateway Arch, and Percy goes out the side of it and ends up in the river. But that sounded too expensive, so they went to a city that already has a replica of the Parthenon.
Yeah, not surprising at all.
He fought the Gateway Arch? Is that what you said?
There's a fight involving the Gateway Arch as like the
Gotcha.
battleground.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought you were saying he fought the actual Gateway. Like, he's a
Yeah,
fuck you, man.
the Gateway
Like, he's just...
You know, a lot of this movie does feel kind of cheap.
Yeah, the CGI I feel like is hit or miss for me. Like there's some that looks pretty good, and then there's other that's like, oh yikes, you shouldn't have done that. I do
Yeah,
really like the
yikes.
Parthenon scene though. Like I think
I do
even
too,
though
actually.
they substituted like what actually happens in the book for this, like I really liked the 5 guards like ending up going together to be the Hydra.
Yeah, it does answer the question on how that dude that just got absolutely fucking destroyed on a ladder was just alive. Because that guy
Yeah.
should have had a huge brain injury.
She's like, oh, we're just putting him to sleep. It's like that guy was 20 feet in the air and he fell onto
like,
marble.
right on
Yeah.
marble.
He landed
Landed
on
on-
marble unconscious, so he couldn't break his
unconscious,
fall.
Did not protect his head. Like,
No.
She's
No,
just
he
like, yeah, we're
probably
just
would
joking.
die.
I probably
You fall on
would've
your head
done.
from like 8 feet or more can kill you, right?
You fall from a horse, that could kill you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you could just.
And this was at least 3 horses tall.
In the movie's defense, he was knocked out, so he was limp.
Yeah, but
Right.
and
His body
then-
absorbed the impact. Well.
Yeah, yeah, it's like in a car accident.
Yeah. He wasn't tense, so his brain had a lot of wiggle room when it hit the floor
Yeah.
directly.
That's what. Yeah, concussions are always easier when the brain has more room to bounce around. in there.
Yeah,
It's fine.
exactly.
He turned out to be a Hydra anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, joke's on you. Yeah, I would love if they had a scene where they were really, really mad about that. And they were like, Annabeth, how could you do that? It's a human being. Oh, it's a Hydra. Never mind, you're good. It was a Hydra the whole time.
Missed opportunity to not have the meme where it's a Hydra and like 2 heads look scary, then one looks goofy.
Oh, I would have
It's
loved
like
that.
the guy who has brain damage is the goofy one. Which is
The,
maybe not the best message,
one-
but you know what I
the
mean.
the head voiced by Jim Cummings.
Yeah.
That was a Lion King joke. Woof.
Yeah.
Tough one.
It's good. It's good.
It's he does the voice for Ed. Yep. I think
Yeah.
it's Ed. I don't remember.
I don't know
You got it,
either.
it's Ed.
It's Ed. Okay.
Yeah, it's Ed.
Tough crowd.
Sorry.
Just love Jim Cummings. That man gave decades to Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. Yeah.
Yeah. So they get another one in Nashville, and then they go to, and yeah, they're there for a few days.
Las Vegas.
Oh my god, I love the casino scene so
A
much.
little conversation. Just keep
This feels
talking. I'm
like-
just gonna layer it. In the
I was gonna say this feels like it's at the end of the time period where that remix of A Little Less Conversation was in most of movies.
Anytime they went to Vegas, they had to use that song.
Yeah, that feels like more of a mid-thousands thing. So if this might have been one of the later uses, but you had to do it.
Gotta talk you.
So when they're there, do you just not age when you're at the Lotus casino?
Honestly, you don't really have to eat or sleep either. It's like that guy from the 70s didn't look unhealthy.
No, he looked young. He looked like he would have been a kid who watched the French Connection.
I believe consuming the flowers just kind of, I think, in actual mythology, I think they do get old and they just die like after a while. I think in the books they do kind of stand still in time, and they have no concept of time. They just stay there like as if it was still the same day they showed up.
In the book, how did they do the Lady Gaga's poker face plays?
Oh, I wish they would have done that in the books. Just that, I feel like that really dates this movie. Just poker face into TikTok, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
No notes.
Yeah, no, that was well reasoned. They didn't skimp on the soundtrack, that's for sure.
But yeah, I really loved how they used the casino for the Lotus Eaters. I thought that was super creative. It makes little sense how quick Percy was able to just snap out of it. But I still really liked the concept.
That is a thing that happens a couple times
At
throughout the movie.
At least Poseidon was part of it. Like it could have
Yes.
been worse. It could have just been like him being like, "Wait a minute, I fucking don't
I
belong."
don't like these cookies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are
But it is essentially like Poseidon's in his head and he's like, stop it. And he's just like, oh shit. And then he goes and tells his friends to stop and they're like, okay.
Yeah,
Doesn't
like,
really
it should have
take
been
much.
way more of a
Push
struggle.
back a little bit, but it's all covered in about a 30-second thing. And then they're like, are we going to play a little bit and then try and steal this thing? And like, no, start punching. It works.
Like, Brandon P. Jackson's like, this is only the second of 3 times in this movie that I'm about to fuck a bunch of women and you're ruining it.
Yeah.
I think he fucks a bunch of those women at the camp. He doesn't get ruined by that.
It's unclear. I feel like like I'm not telling the camp full-grown women and everything like how to be, but like I don't know. It feels like there was a lot of people horny for that dude in a way that the teachers probably should have been like, okay, let's pull him back a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's supported in the text why he's so irresistible to everybody, but good for him.
Grover
He seems to
fucks.
be into it. Yeah, Grover fucks. And
So I don't know why Persephone. I think Persephone is literally just because she's bored. But I believe there is something in mythology that has to do with satyrs and like wood nymphs, and I believe wood nymphs are under the Aphrodite umbrella. So I believe there is something like mythology wise that makes sense, but I don't remember.
When Percy asks Zeus to help Grover get out of hell, do you think Percy is cock-blocking Grover at that moment?
I think when Grover comes back, he's like, we just sort of hung out, right?
Yeah.
And he would
Seems like a lie.
Yeah, it seems like a lie, but he also doesn't seem like a guy who wouldn't just tell him all the details.
True.
I mean, he is 12.
Right. Ultimately, sure, but I don't know. I don't know. Grover's like, I mean, like, he's a goat, right? Like,
He's a goat.
He's
He's
half
the goat.
goat.
he's half goat, right? Like, but just like personality wise, I don't know. He doesn't seem like a guy that I don't think he would have needed a lot of time. He seems like a pretty selfish lover. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I agree.
They say that about goats.
Yeah, this is about goats.
The politically correct term is satyr.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's specific to Grover. I'm not saying not all satyrs, but
I completely forgot that between in the movie what would be or Tennessee, but like the St. Louis to Nevada, that they're supposed to meet up with Ares and he's just not in the movie. I completely forgot about that plot point.
Well, all his kids got
That'd be
beat to shit
interesting.
by Athena's kids. So they're like, these are all sons of Ares, and they just got fucking murdered one by one. And they're all like 35 years old. It was kind of weird.
yeah. I don't know what the rules were in that thing. It's still unclear to me if people were dying.
It seemed like they were going for kills, though.
They're not killing each other. It's training. Like it's not like I believe the swords would kill a human, but they're not human. So they use tougher swords, but they're still not like fatal swords. Like you can still get fucked up because they're definitely making each other bleed and shit, but they heal much easier and they have better medicine.
Do you think Percy would have got decapitated if he didn't duck under that one sword that cut his hair from his helmet off?
I don't know.
Depends if he would have fallen in a river or not. Bree, what did Ares do in the book? I actually did he have like a whole bit, or was it just like?
But he does help, I believe.
Is he like cool or is he like angry?
Is he like Hades cool or is he like regular cool?
Man, Hades is so different in the books.
It's not Steve Coogan in the book.
I believe they help. I'm looking at notes because I haven't read this book in like 15 years or something. Like it was a long ass time ago. But they help him retrieve a shield from Hephaestus because, as we all know, the affair with Ares and Aphrodite.
Of course. yeah.
But he helps them then, like, with supplies and shit to go to Nevada to the casino to get the last pearl.
Yeah, I feel like that was a missed opportunity, but I mean, you get 2 hours. Type
Yeah, they
shit.
gotta
Yeah.
cut stuff, but there is. I still feel like there's stuff that they definitely could have cut out to put an Ares scene in there.
Is it time to talk about Steve Coogan, the greatest 80s in the world?
I don't because he's doing American, right?
He's doing it. So, like, it was funny because, like, so he shows up as a demon in the first scene, and I said to Bree, I was like, this like, is there a human Hades, or is it like, are we just fighting this, demonic monster? Because I couldn't really place the voice. And she's like, oh, there's a human Hades, and you're gonna love it. And I was like, oh, okay. And like in my head, I was like, who's like a cool guy from 2010? And then I was like, oh, but it's like a kids movie, so I was like, okay, is it like maybe it's like Lawrence Fishburne? You know what I mean? Like maybe it's like I was trying to like throw my head around who makes sense for like I was kind of thinking like a leather jacket Hades, but like going up to this, they're going up to this fireplace from behind, like the dramatic reveal, and you can see he's got like a leather jacket, and they show him for a second, and I'm like, I don't think I know who this is. And then they reveal Steve Coogan, and I'm just like, what the? You had everyone. I'm not saying he did a bad job. Like, you had everyone in Hollywood to be American badass Hades, and you chose Steve Coogan, the nerdiest British comedian, like besides Stephen Fry.
It's an interesting choice, and it's interesting too because I feel like most of the time Steve Coogan does American, he goes high pitched. So it's interesting to do his low pitched American. Doesn't bring it out as much. More interesting, only to me maybe. I was recently having a conversation about how British actors have to like go an octave up or down to do American. They can't just do like same level tone all the time. Using Steve Coogan as an example, but it's because we were talking about House. And it's a thing Hugh Laurie does is he goes really low and gravelly.
Yeah.
And then this is giving me an opportunity to mention one of my favorite quotes from a review of the film Doctor Strange, which referred to Benedict Cumberbatch's voice as Doctor Strange as from the school, the Hugh Laurie School of American Growling. So yeah. And this isn't really growly, it's just low and weird coming out of his face.
Yeah, I don't know why they just don't have him be British.
Right. That too. I think because if he's British, then you're like, oh, you can't take this guy seriously. It's Steve Coogan.
I do wish that instead of being like this cool 80s rock guy, he was just like some dweeby acoustic guitar guy who kept tuning his guitar and like playing like Wonderwall. I would like that.
Which is basically his character from Hamlet too.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have worked. I'll just say I liked it. I liked him in this film.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I do like this portrayal of Hades, like as it stands on its own.
He's on screen for a couple minutes, but it's impactful, I guess. He misplays pretty hard. But it's fine. Turns out the lightning bolt was in the shield that Luke, I don't even know if we mentioned Luke. Luke, he's back at the camp.
Yeah.
Well, he's the villain of this film.
So when Luke, guys, when Luke shows up, what were you thinking?
This is the villain of the film.
Like, that's what I was thinking, but I was like,
one of the few established characters, probably the villain.
In a movie where they're desperately trying to figure out who the thief is. It was throwing me because I was like, this is like, I kept trying to, like, Bree was making fun of me because I kept being like, this is a kid's movie. It's just like, you're acting like this is for little babies. You're acting like this movie is for 5-year-olds. It's for 12, 13-year-olds. But I was like, they're really kind of hamming it up with this guy being the bad guy, but like, they're also trying to be like, here, take my shield. And I was like, he's just supposed to be cool, and I got a bad read on him.
And then they even say when they're leaving Medusa's lair, maybe he didn't know she was bad. It's weird he didn't give us a heads up that was fucking Medusa. He's like, maybe he didn't know. And they don't come back to that thinking. And then eventually they find out, and they don't make a big deal out of it either. they're kind of like, yeah, that tracks.
I hate how they handle Luke in the movie.
Is he like a character with things to do in the book?
Oh, he's not even defeated in the first book. Like he's like Percy like fights him at the end of this movie, and like it's done. He returns the lightning bolt. In the book, that doesn't happen until like that confrontation doesn't happen in the first book. It's Ares who Percy fights at the end of the book. Because Ares is the one that had the lightning bolt. Luke did steal it, but Ares had it. And then Ares is the one that manipulated help from Percy and co. But yeah, that was the last fight of the book. It was between Percy and Ares.
Oh, so he wasn't a good guy that helped. You tricked me.
And as we know, Ares has never won a war. So he lost to a 12-year-old.
That's tough luck.
It's a bad look. I think that makes a lot more sense.
It is funny with him being Hermes. He's Hermes' kid, and they're in the fucking hall or Mount Olympus, whatever hallway, or you get it. And then he's like, oh, Luke, no, he didn't say that. It was because he wasn't there. They're like, it was Luke, Hermes' kid, and then it cuts to an actor who they haven't introduced as Hermes, but you just have to assume is Hermes. But he doesn't have any lines because they're not going to pay that guy 10 plus scale. So he just kind of goes, like.
Uh-oh. Like, yeah, nah.
I guess that was a bad look for your boy Herb.
Yeah. That is one thing I asked Kay about too. It's like, is there like better reasoning given for Zeus not letting the gods talk to their kids? And yeah, it's like pretty different. Yeah, it's pretty different. And it's not even the same reasons. It's both better explained and in fully different reasons.
Yeah.
So. Also, in the book, do they explain why everyone thinks Percy stole the lightning? Everyone just
really just decide it's him.
This whole movie is literally Percy, you stole it. I don't know what you're talking about for 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
So a kid who there's tons of evidence to show he didn't even know this was a thing out in the world. Never mind had access and means to steal a thing from Zeus. He didn't know any of this existed, and that should be easily provable.
Yeah, I straight up don't remember why he's the one that gets accused. I think there's something to do with the prophecy about like a god's kid or something, and so they assume that like, well, we have all these kids at the camp, so it has to be a kid that's not at the camp that we haven't accounted for or something like that. I don't remember, but I think they don't talk about any sort of prophecy in the movie when that's like a huge point throughout the books, which is a very important detail that would solve a lot of the plot holes in this movie. But yeah, I believe it has to do with the prophecy of why he gets accused.
Yeah, the trigger for all of the action in the movie, including him finding out any of this about himself, is Zeus decides it's his fault.
Exactly.
And then give him an arbitrary deadline.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to give him 2 weeks. And then we go to war.
I hope they don't end up in that lotus flower.
The exposition of the beginning of this movie is just, it's so comically bad. Like, there's a really, really great video by a YouTuber that I really like that breaks down why this movie is so not good.
That sounds really good. Can you send that to us?
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's basically like the expo dump of this movie is just like, brother Poseidon, I am Zeus, and my lightning is gone. And it's like,
your son, Percy, it's his fault.
Also, Percy, someone who I cannot meet or talk to.
I haven't talked to him since he was a baby.
I guess that's part of it. Is not only is he not in the camp, but Zeus can't track him down because of Joey Pants is rank shit. And so I guess that could have been a thing they cited in the film for why he was suspicious of Percy. But it's beyond suspicion. He's sure it's Percy.
Yeah, like it's God.
Yes. And a lot of that would be interesting, fickle gods sort of making up their own rules and not really having responsibility or accountability. But they don't really hit that. Right. I'm sure it is. And that's what we all like about the Hades games.
Right.
But they don't really hit that hard in the movie. And that feels like something they left on the table for sure as a flavor.
One big thing that I don't remember if they even mentioned the word, but because I know Sam, you asked about this. It's like how did he fit his horse legs into a wheelchair? And the goat would it's because there is a magical phenomenon called the mist, which is what mortals mortals cannot see past the mist, so they cannot see magical beings as they are, and that's why magical beings like satyrs and centaurs can hide in plain sight. They don't even fucking mention that in the movie as far as I remember. So you just think they have some prosthetics on or something that they can just take off.
Yeah. And then
it's wild.
Kay told me about this too, because my question similarly about Pierce Brosnan was, so there's a school that just lost 2 teachers and a student.
Substitute teacher, but
still just gone. They went on a field trip and one of the teachers didn't come back.
And yet he's not the one being accused of kidnapping. Percy's accused of kidnapping his own mother.
Yeah. And then that's what
he's a druggie.
It's this magic thing, like new teachers there when he gets back to school, and the other students are like, yeah, she's been here the whole time, and he doesn't understand it. Yeah.
Also, they bring up the whole Percy's wanted by the law for stealing his mom, and then it never happened.
Doesn't come back.
Yeah.
He just
never looking for them.
He doesn't live in society anymore.
And they've also given him a reason to travel, so it's not even like the usual one of like, oh, we can't stay in the same place for that long. Like, we got to keep it moving. Like, they already had to keep it moving.
We just got all this great Joey Pants content. We got to fit into the film. We got to make it work.
Yeah, we already paid him. We paid him up front, offer only. So
anyway, yeah. So that's the movie Lightning Thief.
A failed attempt at writing the Odyssey in a fun way.
Would it have been a funny bit if I came in thinking we were supposed to watch Bicycle Thieves?
I don't know.
I would have thought it was funny.
This is like one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen. It's all in Italian.
That's the Holocaust movie, right?
No.
Okay.
No, just emotionally, but no, it's about an Italian dad who's a fucking loser.
He can't get a job.
So it's like it's beautiful.
He gets a job. He's plastering posters on the wall, but he needs a bike to get around to the different places that he's got.
Stole his bike.
Someone steals his bike, but no one helps him find his bike. The rest of the movie is him trying to find his bike. He gets so desperate at the end of the movie, he tries to steal a bike. A crowd immediately forms around him and shames him for stealing the bike. Credits.
What the fuck?
And then everybody clapped.
One of the 10 best films ever made, according to most polls. But here's the thing. You do want to kill yourself at the end.
Jesus Christ.
Here's the one trick.
Yeah, it's probably the most depressing movie I've ever seen. But it's shot really interestingly. They're in Rome, I think, and it's kind of, I don't know if they were stealing footage, but they're just sort of around Rome. It looks awesome.
It's from 1947 or 49 too, so it's right after World War II. So like a lot of it is somewhat destroyed too.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't think they use that as a metaphor, woo, you got another thing coming. Anyway, I'm assuming the main character is Percy Jackson. They did not speak English, so that's the best I could do. Now, I don't know if it would have sustained for 2 hours of conversation. That joke.
Only way to find out.
Yeah. Actually, let's dump this robots and start from scratch.
Welcome to Late to the Movies.
So they come back. They get the thing. He has the big fight. He really. Oof. It looks like it goes through that kid's neck and then he drowns.
Yeah. That I do like the scene where he uses the water from the water towers and makes a trident. Like, that's kind of fucking sick.
It's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the one-liner that he uses needs a little work, but the trident's cool.
What did he say? You're all washed up.
Time to get wet.
Oh God.
Is that it?
I think he says, "I really am Poseidon's son" or something like that. It's like, okay, man, like you could have said anything else cooler.
Did you just piss your pants?
Little piss boy.
Time to die.
You got something in your throat?
Wait, what do you mean?
Then he throws the trident at his throat.
Eat Hudson, you dick, and then like throws. Yeah, anything would have been better. I agree. Does Poseidon sort of like chop it up with him in the sequel?
I straight up don't remember the sequel to this movie.
Okay.
It's
weird. He's like an important presence, but he doesn't have a lot of lines.
No. He, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I do because I remember when I read these books and then this stood out to me when I watched the movie. Poseidon is way more happy, like, and more of a scamp in the books. Because I very specifically remember wanting Adam Sandler to be Poseidon in these movies. Because that was kind of more of the vibe that he gave. Like, he was a Hawaiian shirt wearing like fisherman in the books. Like, he was not this serious like character. Like,
that sounds way more interesting.
Exactly. Like,
Sure.
he would have needed to be a little more serious than Adam Sandler, but like that's essentially the vibe that he gave in the book. And I was really sad when they made him this fucking serious character in the movie.
Yeah, he's like a real putz.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a real dumb guy. I don't know.
He's a real nobody.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of sizzle to him, which is too bad because like you feel like he should have
Way
the three.
more to do.
Yeah, the three main brothers, Zeus, Hades. They both are like have strong personalities and like you don't want to hang out with either of them. But in Poseidon should be like that in his own direction too.
Yeah. No, he was a plot point in this movie. He wasn't a character.
Yeah.
There's a thing that I saw that perfectly encapsulates this movie is that they didn't pay attention to the book when they wrote this movie. They just read the Wikipedia summary and they just wrote the movie based off of that. No personality, no nothing.
Yeah. It feels a bit like that.
I still can't get like Poseidon Adam Sandler out of my head.
It would have been great.
Like,
Like,
hey,
oh
how
my
are you?
God.
I bet you know how you swim real good, huh? Oh, water on your shirt. Oh.
I like it. Bit
Oh,
of goofs would have gone a long way.
I
Just a bit of goofs.
do really like Logan Lerman as Percy Jackson. I like obviously like later because again they are 12 in the books. But and yeah, the thing with him and Annabeth is supposed to be like a really slow burn, not like an immediate fall in love thing like in this movie.
Yeah. They're flirting from day one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally from when they lock eyes, like real weird.
And like Sam said, but in a non-creepy way, you shouldn't be that into him.
Yeah.
In a non-creepy way.
They are like the only two people in that camp besides Luke.
Right, yeah.
Everyone
Wait.
else it just doesn't talk.
Wait, you want her to date someone who doesn't have a first name? Is only identified by who their dad is? Come on.
I just think that Athena's daughter would be pretty pissed if some dude showed up day one and beat her in the thing she's really good at.
So I don't remember if he beats her in the book, but she is pissed that he's just shows up and he's like already like
Hot shit.
yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, you're a son of the big three, like you're not supposed to exist. Like because I believe it's the big three that aren't allowed to have kids in the books. Like all the other gods, who gives a fuck? But
Yeah.
there is a specific pact that they've all three of them broke. But there's a specific pact that Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon can't have kids. And so when Poseidon's kid shows up, they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's what Kay explained to me when I was like, that's weird. They gave it into it more. Like, no, it's just about the big three.
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to have kids. It's not that none of the gods can talk to their kids.
Yeah.
And the last time like they clashed, it caused World War II. And so that's why, like, okay, too much power if you have kids. So those three.
Wait. Are they? Were their kids involved, like big leaders in World War II?
This is what Kay said. So grain of salt.
They never did tell everybody who the
Lightning
Because like
thief
they
was?
had that. Well, they had that. They did tell us who the thief was. They had the line at the beginning where they're like, "I'm talking famous. I'm talking White House." Like, and they never actually like.
I don't remember if they name drop in the books, but I have a feeling I'm pretty sure that something name drops certain
Jimmy
people. Maybe I'm
Carter?
thinking maybe I'm thinking of the wrong like franchise.
What
or
is
something.
anyone talking about? I have no idea what's happening.
Oh,
Oh.
so in
Sorry.
the beginning when they first show up to the camp, Grover's like there are people that in the real world
Alright,
that like
okay.
are demigods, like, and it's like celebrities, and he's like we're talking like White House, so it's like implied
Gotcha.
that Obama is a demigod, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry. I was
Yeah,
when you said beginning, and that is in the beginning, but I was specifically thinking of
Oh.
the Sean Bean and
Ah,
Random Man scene.
But yeah, I don't remember if the book name drops. I wouldn't think so. But I feel like I distinctly remember them saying this person is a demigod, like Prince, I think, was a demigod or something like that.
oh,
It was
That's a
I
fun one.
I
Yeah,
feel like
I
I'm
like that.
pulling this out of my ass, but I swear I'm not. I'm gonna try to look it up.
I feel like the version of that joke for a while was always either Prince or David Bowie.
yeah, they were both most like out there alien guys.
Yeah. And then
Um,
in Men in Black 2 or 3, it's Michael Jackson who just yeah. But he's
Oh,
not
they
an
do say-
alien, he just wants to be a man in black, right?
Yep.
All
I
right.
could be
there's
Asian M.
Okay. There is a list. Harriet Tubman, George
Hmm.
Washington, Shakespeare, Amelia Earhart, and Houdini were demigods.
Huh.
The Houdini one's interesting.
That is an interesting one because they put for that one they put even Houdini.
So yeah, and then the movie ends. We're kind of at the end, right? They go back to the camp. This is where Percy lives now.
Which is
Sucks.
just wrong.
It sucks his mom can't ever see him, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the movie hilariously this so I do like that the end credit scene still ends with the stepdad slash boyfriend, I actually don't remember what he is in the movie. I think he's just a boyfriend. Still gets turned to stone by the Medusa head. In the book, and I really wish they would have done this. In the book, Harry, Jesus Christ, Percy's mom has Medusa's head and turns him to stone using it, and then she sells the statue of the abusive boyfriend and uses that money to put Percy in a better private school. And then he goes to Camp Half-Blood in the summers.
That
makes more sense.
These
It's
books
so much
sound
better.
really good.
The books are amazing. And wow, do I wish the movie had even a little bit of the nuance that the books did.
For what it's worth, Kay does say that the TV show's a lot better
I'm
than this movie.
so excited to see the TV show. They're actual children in the show. It's the issue that I also have with like I didn't really ever have a connection with like the Hunger Games or anything. But it's like one of the big things I have with the adaptation to the movies. It's like part of what makes the book so powerful is that these are children like in a war. Like you have to like the horror is seeing a 12-year-old having to fight for their life. Stop showing 20-year-olds on screen. Like that takes off so much of the power in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, the TV show having like actual like young teenagers bodes well for the rest of it. Oh, someone's in it. Edge is in the TV show. I
Adam
believe he's
Copeland?
Ares.
Or
Copeland?
the U2 guitar.
I believe he's Ares in the show, which
Oh,
is
that makes
awesome.
sense.
Oh, I think I knew who
Edge.
you were talking about.
Edge
So
loves the heel turn, so that makes sense.
Is Tisel? This is I think you think you know me.
Yeah. Yeah, he turns heel to Metalingus is playing in the background, and he starts
That's
like
great.
hovering off the ground.
That'd be cool.
And then he spears the shit out of Percy.
Oh, he be done. Percy's done.
No, Percy no sells it. He gets right back up, and Edge is super pissed.
Wow.
Because with Dionysus.
He's
Rated
really putting
Aries
Percy
superstar.
over.
Is there anything there? Rated Aries superstar.
Who'd you say was that? Oh, Jason
Because
Mantzoukas.
Megan Mullally is Electo.
Oh, that's
God.
good. that's a
Mantzoukas is
good one.
Dionysus sounds unhinged.
But yeah,
to be
Edge is
honest.
Ares.
That sounds really good. I'm in. Is he the only Greek in the cast?
That's a great.
That's a
Hey,
great
you know what?
question.
Great point.
I have
I-
no idea. Probably not.
I think Adam Copeland's Greek, right?
On this day.
That man in Vikings. I think he was in Vikings.
Has it clear? So, are we ready to give this film a rating? We even talked about the post-credit sequence. We usually don't get out every plot point. I feel like we did.
I think so.
We didn't talk about. I mean, we talked about Luke, but we didn't talk about how much of a butt munch he was.
He just wasn't as present as he would have needed to be for it to be compelling or not.
I mean,
now that I
to be the guy at the end.
Yeah,
Now that
even
I
if they
find
were
out-
gonna have him be like the last boss per se, in the books, Annabeth has like a hero worship kind of crush because he's older. He's like 15 or something in the books, I believe, and then Annabeth obviously is like 12. So like the betrayal is a huge deal to Annabeth, and it's just completely a throwaway line in the movie. It's like, it's Luke, he betrayed us, so no, and that's it. That's as much emotion as Annabeth shows.
I also don't like that. So like, you tell me that Ares is the bad guy, and that's fine. That makes sense. But it's like, why'd you do this? He's like, to start a war, and you're like, it makes sense. Got a war and all that. But then it's like, Luke, why'd you do this? It's like to start a war. Why? Because
Luke-
I hate my dad.
Yeah, Luke is in the movie. He's just an angsty teenager that hates his dad, which, like, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I don't believe he mentions it in his like villain monologue in the movie. But like, there's something about wanting to start a war and like trying to bring Kronos back. Like, that's a huge thing in the books. I don't think Kronos is even mentioned in the movie.
He's mentioned at the very beginning.
Is he?
When they're in the museum, they're talking about like the three big
Oh.
ones. They're like, and the three big ones cut up Kronos into like little pieces.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, the Luke wants to like resurrect Kronos essentially, I believe, is one of the big things.
Is Kronos like the big bad of the series?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I don't remember. I don't remember. You would think I would remember something as big as that, but I don't. It's been so long since I read those books.
Lance Reddick played Zeus.
Oh, R.I.P.
Oh,
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is Hermes, and that still reels me in.
What year?
Huh?
What year is this?
What
2023.
Yeah,
Oh,
this came out like
okay.
last year.
I don't know why. You said that like 3 times. For some reason, while we were talking about people, I thought this was older.
It was in the making for a while, I
Yeah.
believe.
They're- Seemingly currently in production on season 2.
Yeah.
On a scale of 0.5 to 5 on any scale of your choosing. I was at any fucking scale you're choosing. My brain's gone this week, y'all. Sorry. On any scale you're choosing, give this one a rating. What would you give? Well, oh God, we didn't talk about Chris Columbus.
oh,
No, we
the
don't have
director of the
time.
movie.
We don't have time, man.
All right,
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
The great
Next
is Chris
time.
Columbus good or bad thing?
Guess
We'll
we're gonna
get
have to
too
watch-
much.
We're gonna have to watch
Dude,
Home Alone.
Tune
Shit.
in next week.
Yikes. Okay.
We're gonna Matt Damon him.
We've talked about Chris Columbus a lot. We've done Home Alone. We've done Gremlins, both of which are weirdly not, though he is a prolific writer and director, each an example of him only being one of those. But we've talked about him a lot in both of those episodes. So we didn't on this one. Fuck it.
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, Chris. He's one of the producers of Nosferatu. I don't get his vibe at all.
His vibe is that he doesn't want to
Isn't
make the
working.
same movie every time, and then he makes the same movie every time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's unfair to say it's the same movie, but like I feel like I was watching this and I was like, why does this movie kind of feel like a 2010s Harry Potter?
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like when I was younger and this movie was coming out, I was like, oh, it's the Harry Potter movie guy. Like, this should be pretty good. And then it wasn't. I mean, he didn't write it. Like, he wasn't
Yeah.
the screenwrite for it. Like, I feel like it was as well directed as it maybe could have been. Some of the acting was stilted because of the writing, though. Like a lot of the expo dump was very stilted, but like how if your lines say, "Brother, you are Poseidon," like what can you do with that?
I don't know if I've ever clocked that Chris Columbus's production company is 1992 Pictures, and I think that sucks.
Oh yeah, I think I clocked it during this movie for the first time, and it does
Yeah.
suck.
I hate that. Hate it. It's been his production company since the mid 90s, but I definitely haven't noticed it before.
What's your favorite production company pre-film Flash, whatever it's called?
James Cameron's Lightning one is good.
I like Ridley Scott and Tony Scott's Scott Free.
Scott Free's solid.
I only had ones for movies.
Wes Anderson's India Paintbrush one.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah, but the Scott Free one's cool. That's the one where it's like, oh, it's kind of spooky, and then this guy's running, and then he's a bird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
The Bruckheimer one, the Road.
Oh, that one's good. That's a classic.
I do like the Bruckheimer one.
It the lightning bolt hits the tree and then it has leaves on it.
Yes. On a scale of 0.5 to 5, on any scale of your choosing aside from stars, what would you give Chris Columbus, who we've now talked about at lengths, 2010 film Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief?
I would give it 2.5 go to fuck out of 5.
Okay.
3.5 out of 5 Medusa snakes.
I don't have a thing, and I'm sad about it. Give me a sec. Vamp it up.
I could go too if you want.
Yeah, you go first.
3 out of 5 Medusas who used to date your daddy.
Oh God, what an iconic line.
Kay says that goes over big with the kids in her class. They love it.
Never mind the implication of what actually happens, but
Nope. Medusa, much more tragic figure than this movie would have you believe.
I'm gonna go 3.5 out of 10. That was $170.
out of 10?
Out of 10. That's a bad score.
Oh man.
Out of 5. It's 3, and then it's quote out of 10. That was $170. Unquote out of 5.
Oh man. Yeah, it's about right. The question this month for Sword and Sandals month. Sword or sandals?
I thought you were gonna say, which Greek god would you want to be a kid of?
That makes sense too. We're going to do a lot of mythology this month, but not all mythology. It might just be more tactile stuff, down to earth, I guess. For the monthly question, yeah, maybe it's favorite Greek god. Do you prefer swords or sandals? I think that all plays.
I gotta know who's gonna pick sandals over swords.
Some people love the beach.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair, but who's
and
wearing
hate murder.
You don't have to murder with a sword.
You don't have to murder. You can just sword fight,
Could be
or just have it for fun on your wall.
Or just cut a guy a bunch of times.
Yeah, or murder is
leave
okay.
him bleeding on a beach.
Yeah.
This is fair.
But make sure he's a son of Poseidon and that he's next to the water so he can heal himself.
Something you don't know.
We were doing we did have a bit when we were watching. It's like you wonder if like Athena's really mad when she's fighting and she actually like really like finally mortally wounds him, but like almost like wrestling where they like fall out of the ring so they can't get pinned. Like he just falls in the water and she's like trying to stop him. She's like no, he's gonna heal himself.
Yeah, she can't claim his flag if she doesn't pin him in the ring. Yeah. Oh, what a jerk. I'd probably go swords also.
Yeah, it's gotta be swords.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest sandal guy.
Someone's gonna say sandals this month.
I gotta know who.
Someone will.
You gotta put him on blast.
Someone's gonna say sandals, and we're gonna never let him forget it. thank you for being on this episode. We had Bree, Vaz, Sam.
Woo!
Tune in next week for more Swords and or Sandals. This has been Late to the Movies. You can find our stuff on the Linktree, linktr.ee/late to the movies. And yeah, I don't know. Never figured out a way to end. Keep on rocking.
Keep on rocking
in the freezer.
In the freezer?
In the freezer.
In the freezer. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
So dumb.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Every episode.
Internet.